A great guest in studio today from the school district. Brenda Trogstad is here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to talk with you here on this Friday morning as we move through. As you may or may not have seen over the last couple of weeks, we've welcomed in the superintendents from all the districts here in the county that have been having their levy upcoming for a vote on the 11th. And so we've just kind of been talking about the differences that folks have got going on. Every school district is different in the number that they are requesting in this replacement levy, and you're here today to kind of talk a little bit more about that as well historically. And let's start first with the letter that you wrote to the Journal, and some of the things that you things you had in there.
I've been receiving a lot of phone calls from our taxpayers for clarification on the levy rate that we currently have. So what I wrote in the Journal is a little bit of history plus the current levy rates to show taxpayers that it is truly a replacement levy. In 2017, we ran a 3-year levy for $7,330,000. That rate in 2017 was $4.53 per thousand. The taxpayers voted to approve that, so we were all set to collect that. We did collect it in 2018. That rate was $4.05 per thousand. The following year, the legislators changed the laws surrounding levies and reduced the rate down to $1.50 per thousand, which created that $7.3 million. We could only collect $2.6 million. So basically, they took away what the taxpayers voted to give directly to Shelton School District.
So is that $7 million each year?
Yes.
For 18,
19, and 20.
19 and 20.
Right.
So one of the first things, let's go back to this. So you said it was 453, but then the actual rate was down to 405, and that I'm presuming is based on the property values by the assessor.
Yes, in the old methodology, if your assessed valuation went up, your tax rate went down.
Sure.
So in the new one, it does not.
Okay.
So the $1.50 was set for 2019. School districts across the state went back to the legislature and said, you know, we passed these, we should be able to collect them. So the following year, they increased the levy rate to $2.50, which is what it is currently in 2020. I just received it from the Mason County Auditor's Office that it has been certified. That will give us approximately $5 million out of that 7.3 that we should have collected.
Okay.
So that levy expires December 31st of 2020. And so this will replace it if passed on February 11th. It will begin in 2021, 2022, and 2023. The most we can charge is the $2.50 per thousand. And we did a maximum of the $5.5 million. If that $2.50 generates more than that, we cannot collect it. It will stay flat at that $5.5. And we did that to be fair to our taxpayers. So.
In addition to that, it also works if the levy is passed that the state matches some of this money.
Right. We are considered a property poor school district and assessed valuation by the state. They have a state average that they use, and we are below the state average. So if the levy is passed, we do receive what's called levy equalization dollars from the state. Currently, it's about $3 million for us. So if we don't pass it, we lose that money also.
Can you explain that property poor thing a little bit more, what that means and how they come up with that?
They take a statewide, and I don't know the formula they use, but they take all property values in the state and do an average of what those come out to be. Then they take Shelton School District specifically and calculate our average property value, and it's below what the state is. So that's why they supplement our levy on that money.
Okay.
Now, no one wants to prepare for this, but worst case scenario, if a levy doesn't pass, all these programs that are in place, all these people that are staffed, all these benefits to the community, to the students, to the faculty, to everyone, what's, in a worst case scenario, if this doesn't get the vote, what happens then?
Well, in 1994, I looked it up. We did not pass it the first time in February. Luckily, we did come back around in April and pass. What you end up doing is starting a budget, because this is 8.5% of our budget, and we run 85% staffing because we're a people business. We serve our kids, and it takes people to serve our kids. So your first step is to go back through and you look at your programs, and it really comes down to cutting personnel. That's what we had to do that time. We had to actually, we built two budgets side by side. One was, okay, let's hope it passes in April. The second was, here's what needs to be cut if it doesn't. So, for example, athletics, all after school activities are totally funded from levy. My assumption would be the school board would probably, that would be a first cut, because that, is fully funded by levy. We do have a lot of extra staffing to reduce class sizes. So, those will be the things we look at, is what will have the least impact on where we're trying to head to get to the 100% graduation. But it'll be some tough decisions that will have to be made.
And it's not, you don't have to go back that far to 94 when it didn't pass that first time. These impacts, districts across the state, if I'm remembering correctly, felt and started planning these when it was capped at $1.50 after
Yes.
McClary went through.
Right. So I don't know if you recall, we did do some cuts of some paras in classrooms, and that really stemmed around the fact that our levy was reduced down, and those were funded out of levy. So we had to go back and try to do reductions based on that.
Some of the other district superintendents that have come in have talked about other, not building projects, but maintenance and upkeep projects. Are there those types of conversations on what is coming, what on district grounds is planned to be upkept versus what might not be upkept, things like that? Are we at a point where if there's a leaky roof that there would not be the funds available, or if an HVAC, those types of things?
Well, there is money allocated out of the levy for maintenance of buildings. It's mostly educational programs, but we do have almost $400,000 that we allocate for emergency repairs out of the levy, which is our HVAC units and boilers and roof leaks. I'll use an example. This year we had a couple HVACs go down. They run about $80,000 each. So if you don't have that emergency pot of money, you are in jeopardy of not being able to fix that. And, we have our new facilities. We want to keep them in good condition for a long time. So
when you talk with folks on the phone, or you see people on the street talking about this, what are some of the other things that, I know you're deep in these numbers every day, so you
Right.
understand these a lot, but for the casual observer or the busy person trying to make their own ends meet who have questions about this, I think you mentioned that the number was the number that you were at, 250 versus not 250. What are some of the other things that you're hearing out there from folks?
Yeah, that's the biggest one I've been getting on my phone calls. They are asking what we use it for.
Sure.
So I go through, the list of the extra staffing, so our class sizes are lower. The athletics are a big piece for people. So I just go through everything that we use it for to supplement. Another piece is we have 2 nurses in Shelton School District for 4,400 students, so they're spread pretty thin. The state recommends we do have more. Right now, the state funds 60% of 1 nurse for us, so there's an example of where the levy fills it in. Our counselors are another piece that they do not fully fund, so we backfill that.
For whatever reason, the sports in schools gets a lot of focus in the community. So let's go back to that. You were saying potentially, because these are all levy funded sporting events, would it be, we had Trevor on this week to talk about the change down
right.
into the 2A Evergreen, and he was talking with us about the low numbers of participants that we have already. And would this then either become a pay-to-play kind of situation where you would have to, parents would have to come up with the funding source to pay for the, say, football, the jerseys and the helmets like that, or would it go away? I mean, where is that just kind of the school board's decision?
Yeah, it would be the school board's decision. We did in the past do a pay-to-play.
Yeah.
And we took that away because the school board wanted it to be equitable for all students. So I'm not sure they would go back to that, but that would be an option.
Wow.
So it is a lot of tough decisions when you get in that situation.
How many phone calls do you get in a day?
Yesterday I had 8.
Okay.
So there's a lot of, and I appreciate that. I encourage people to call and ask the question because I've been able to clarify for them, and it has helped them make their decision to vote. So
I bet there's a lot of people that get upset when it doesn't pass, but they voted against it. You know, it's kind of a psychological thing, and Sheriff Salisbury talked about that with the tax for the jail expansion.
right.
And people voted it down, and then within hours they're getting calls, how come you're not locking these people up? How come you're not taking care of the community? And
Right.
I wonder how many people don't really realize until the stuff's gone that
Right.
these levies pay for this stuff.
And Dr. Apostle is, he's taking this district in a direction. I think you've probably heard him discuss the Trades Academy that we're pushing through, and you're going to hear a lot about that if we can pass this levy on February 11th. We've been meeting, and I think it's a great thing for our community. These kids will be able to get industry-level certifications, and if they're not one that wants to go to college, they can go right out and get a good-paying job.
Yeah.
So I worried that if we can't get this passed, that goes away for our kids. So
That's so important.
There's good things happening that we need this levy to keep them moving forward.
The ballots are in, either they've been in your mailbox or they're on your kitchen table perhaps right now, and due in on the 11th by 8 o'clock is the deadline there, or in a drop box around the area. Thanks for coming in and talking
Thank
with
you
us a
for
little bit
having
more
me.
about this. If somebody wants to talk with you or give you a call, what's the number?
360-426-1687.
All right. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you.